اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضاه واعط لكل عبد منا من الخير ما نواه وصلي وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد ومن والاه. My dear brothers and sisters, Jazakallah khairan. Islam is the fastest growing religion. However, that point actually brought maybe some jealous or hatred from others. Some of them came with their own thoughts and imposed it on Islam. And some of them intentionally spread doubts and misconception about Islam. So they have their own motivation why they came with that. However, others, because of their ignorance, and maybe because, they are Islamophobic, so they have wrong information about Islam and some pieces here and there and develop some ideas. And at the same time, some of the followers of Islam, because of the lack of knowledge, they listen to those doubts and might actually affect them and actually making kind of a crisis for them. The lack of knowledge or different reasons, that doubt develop in their heart. As a human, we are constantly thinking. So it's not wrong to think and try to clear all these misconceptions, but do not keep it inside you. Try to find the right source to tackle it. Go and ask. You should not be embarrassed. Many of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ had some doubts, and they came, and the Prophet ﷺ solved it for them. And when one of them, he said, can you tell me who the one created Allah? So the Prophet ﷺ answered them. We can talk about, all of those. But the point, they came and they shared that thought with the Prophet ﷺ. And when somebody will come and share with you something like that, do not jump to judge that person. Try to give the right answer with the right tools to soften the heart of that person. And one of the purposes of today, I know we are not like these doubts, it's not in our heart, but you might be that person that will be helpful to others to clear those doubts, that came and actually bothered them. And some of those doubts actually with those that are exploring Islam and that they came across, and some of them, they said, we are hesitating actually to take that step because we have some issues. And I told them, please open your heart and share with me what's your point. And some of them, they brought some of these doubts, and easily you can clear it. And when you clear it, you prepare them to come forward to admit, and to accept the religion of Islam. So it might be beneficial for you or for others in sake, seeking, if others, those are seeking help, and maybe some of your circle or your relatives, or others. That's why it's really important that we try our best to clear some of those misconceptions. Let me focus today about one of the area that's more often being tackled, and more often there's some misconceptions related. The area that relate to women. And I wrote some of the shubuhat here, and we'll go quickly one after one. And please feel free to interrupt me anytime that the point not clear, so we can go deeper. One of the point that relate to women, when the people read in the Quran, they said, oh, why men and women are not equal in their share of inheritance? ميراث المرأة. First of all, that's by itself is not correct. Because in many ayat in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assigned similar share for men and women. Many ayat. In the same ayat that were mentioned that the men have 2 shares and women have 1 share, in the same ayat, they mentioned in some cases they have similar share. I'll give you an example. Allah said, وَلِأَبَوَيْهِ لِكُلِّ وَاحِدٍ مِّنْهُمَا السُّدُسُ. لِأَبَوَيْهِ, the father and the mother, male and female. Each one of them will get 1/6. So it's equal share. Many cases, there are equal share. Actually, for those that study mirath, in many cases, women get higher share than the men, more than the men, in some cases. But how about those cases, the man will get 2 shares and he will get, and she will get 1. Okay, very simple. Most of those people, they come with these questions, they come from different systems where the obligation on men and women financially are the same. They share all of the expenses. But this is not the case in Islam. In Islam, the man, he's the one who's responsible for household expenses. And because of he's responsible, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order to help him, He give him the share to fulfill his responsibility. So actually they are equal. But then there's an extra share for him, for awl, for help, to help him to fulfill his duties and his obligations. And that's fair enough. And that's logical. Let me put you on that test. Let me give you the choices. Any one of you wanna take this question? Any one of you? Yes, brother. Which one you gonna choose? $1,000 for you, and you don't have to worry about any of your expenses. Whatever you want from your necessities, we will fulfill. Or I will give you $2,000, but you are required to sponsor us and take care of all our affairs. Which choice you gonna choose? You're gonna go with the first choice. You keep your 1,000, and I don't have to worry. All mine, what I need, please give me this and that, and all that being fulfilled. That's a smart way, actually. So, in that sense, the extra share, that her share in his hand. You get the point? So they get him one share, and the man was given the second share, but actually it's her share on his hand. It's coming eventually to her, because he's the one who's going to spend on her, and all of those under his responsibility. So Islam is fair enough. From that perspective, is it that, smart way? Yes. I don't want to go further, but let me bring this joke. They sent Juha to bring breads. And there were 4 of them. He brought only 3. And he gave each one of them the baguette, the long one. And they told him, oh, how about you? He said, no, do not worry about me. I'm okay. So each one of them felt bad for him, divided his bread, and they give him half. Now, each one of them, they will have one, except him, nothing. And end up to have what? Each one of them will have just half, and he will have 1.5. 1.5 is smart. So actually, yes, the ending of the story is not like the beginning. The beginning, yes, she has 1 share, and he has 2 shares, but end up, she will have all 3 shares. Yeah, man, that's a fact. He has to spend, on her, and try, his best to make them happy. That's, the real Muslim. Is that clear? Okay. Let's move on to the other point. Is this one clear, inshallah? The other point, shahadatul mar'ah. The witness of the lady at the court. Okay? Who like to go to court? Nobody like, even for witness, yes? You don't want to be in that situation. And who like to be alone, just go in alone, said, you know what, I'm 100% about my witness. Especially if your witness will have consequences. They want to say, you know what, your witness, it might actually have major consequences of that. It's not that easy. It's a heavy responsibility. Is that right? Yes. Now, when you are giving one person to support you, are you going to be happy? Yes, you like that. Is you are not going to only depend on you. You and other person that's supporting your witness. Now when the people, they said, how come in Islam that the man can make witness by himself and a woman, you need another one in order that her witness will count? Yes? فرجل وامرأتان ممن ترضون من الشهداء أن تضل إحداهم وتذكر إحداهم الأخرى. Either two men, or if not two men, then one man and two women. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فرجل وامرأتان ممن ترضون من الشهداء أن تضل إحداهما فتذكر إحداهما الأخرى. So first of all, it's not because of the lack of ability. No. It's reducing the stress and the pressure on her by having another person supporting her witness. And that's because her nature and her personality, that's a way that need a support for that. So it's nothing wrong with this. That's as a first place. This is as a great support for her, as everyone wished that. Does that make sense? The second point, that this is in particular financial transactions. It's not in all matters. No. Who said that? In some matters, her witness more valuable and more important than the men. Like, for example, al-qabila, the midwife. That's her witness about the birth of the child more important than 10 men. Is that right? Because that's her field. And that's, her witness more important in that case. And the scholars consider that's even more valuable than the witness of multiple men. So it's in particular, rules and particular situation, that's in the financially, that's the area. It's not normally that they are involved with it, So it's not in all areas and all aspects. In fact, some areas they are more valuable, the witness of women than the men. Okay, let's move on to other one. Okay. Another shubha. This is how come in Islam they allow men to hit women. Where is that in the Quran? That's in Surah An-Nisa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَاضْرِبُوهُنَّ. Okay. First of all, when you tackle any of those doubts and you want to explain any ayah, do not take it out of the context. You have to look at the siyaq, sibaq and lihaq. What's the context of this? See, now from nowhere, like Islam allow وَاضْرِبُوهُنَّ, hit them. This is not the case. Allah honor women. However, there are two types of women Allah mentioned in the Quran. Allah said, فَالصَّالِحَاتُ قَانِتَاتٌ حَافِظَاتٌ لِلْغَيْبِ بِمَا حَفِظَ اللَّهِ. And then Allah spoke about a case of a trouble that need a treatment. And He said, وَاللَّاتِي تَخَافُونَ نُشُوزَهُنَّ. So it's not in any case. That's an exception from the main rule. And that's a case need a treatment. And the treatment has steps. What's the first step? وَاللَّاتِي تَخَافُونَ نُشُوزَهُنَّ فَعِظُوهُنَّ وَاهْجُرُوهُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ وَاضْرِبُوهُنَّ. So first you advise them with a nice word. And then you abandon the bed, which means you stay with them when the bed, but kind of you shows your that you are not happy with their reaction, with their way. It's not even you say, you know what, I'm not gonna live with you or I'm gonna go another room. No, Allah said, وَهَجْرُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ. So you kind of you shows that you are not happy with their reaction and their disobedience and their behavior. And then if all of that doesn't work, before you come to the hard decision of divorce, let's try this. وَضْرِبُهُنْ, which means discipline them. Be a little bit strict. And when I say وَضْرِبُهُنْ, it's not something open permission. No. As I said, it's for a specific case. After all of other tools doesn't work, then that might work to avoid the worst, solution. And how is that? كعود أراك. You just maybe, you have a stick of siwak, you hit it this way. Like it's not something that where you broke a bone or you make a mark on the skin. No. It's just something to shake them. Oh, you know what? When you are going. We find in this society, for no reason, just because he become a drunk, he will hit his wife and abuse with bad things. No, this is for a valuable reason from the good person, not from anyone. If he's really good and fulfilling all the duties, it's not like the person and a husband, he's not taking care of his responsibility. And not for any lady, just only for a specific types of situations that might be a solution. And it's worked in many cases before, really is damaged. So there's no any kind of physical abuse. No, it is kind of, waking up situation and not really physically something can be hurt, or can make it damage. But here you have to understand, in the same surah, Allah spoke about the nushuz of the man. So it's not only the nushuz of the women. Even a man, if he's in that situation and he's not fulfilling his duties, Allah said, وَإِنِ امْرَأَةٌ خَافَتْ مِنْ بَعْلِهَا نُشُوزًا أَوْ إِعْرَاضًا. So there is a nushuz for the man. Many times we forget about that. And what the steps? It's very similar steps. However, the one he will take care of those steps is the judge, not the women. Because if the woman will be taking that steps, it might actually will backlash on her worse and worse. So she will go to the authority, and the authority, they will talk to him. If he's not fixing the matter, they will put him in the prison. If not, then there's other consequences, he will face. You get the point? It's almost similar steps. However, the one he will deal with that is the one has authority, the one he can discipline him, not left it for the women, because actually if she will take that reaction, it might be actually worse in result. Does that make sense? For you, for some people that might argue with that, I'm open for any discussion, because the people have different mindset in how they look at matters. How can I define nushuz? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put rules in the family where the pious woman, one of the conditions in amaraha ata'at, when he asked her to do something right, she should haste to fulfill that. When constantly that's refusing for no reason to fulfill the duties that are upon her toward the husband and the children, then she's in that state. It's not only that nushuz that she's not fulfilling the right of bed. No, all other rights she's lacking of that big time, then that's the case you can say it's on the shoes. Yeah. Now, they one of the point that they said, how come the Prophet ﷺ will say, "Al-mar'atu khuliqat min di' al-a'waj"? Women were created from bending rib or crooked, rib, or like it's unstraight, bent. Yeah, it could be bent or a'waj, So they said, is that kind of a humiliation for the women? No, this is a fact. This is a fact that we're created from that rib. So this is a description for the rib. It's not putting them down. Who said that? Why you come to judgment and you put it in a negative context? No, this is a fact as was stated by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Second, looking at the rib, what's the function of the rib? Protecting the inside organs. And how the rib will be in the best shape? It has to be bend. If it's straight, it's not going to protect it. Has to be. It's like a hug, giving a hug for the heart and other. It has to be. So in order to fulfill the function of it, it has to be in that situation. So describing it with that way, as if saying this is the best form, it's not saying this is the wrong situation. The other point here, it's kind of giving excuses for women, not the opposite. So you as a man, you have to understand the nature of women. This is their nature. This is how Allah created them. And that's why the Prophet followed that by saying, if you want to straighten it, you're going to break it. So keep it as it is. This is the best form of it. Do not try to change its nature. A lot men, they want women to be like a man. She's not a man. She's not thinking like a man. She's not feeling like a man. So why you want her to act like a man? You want to say, oh, you're not straight. In your mind that, it's not straight. But this is the way how she was formed, she was created. And that's the beauty of it. You don't want to marry your like a man, like, Ibn Ammak or somebody. No, she's a woman. She's a woman, and you have to deal with her in that sense. Now, some other people criticize the hadith of the Prophet when he said, "Al-mar'atu naqisatu aqlin wa din." That's they said, the Prophet, she said she's not perfect in her mind and her religion. You know what? Again, why you're taking it out of the context? And when the Prophet said it, any text has a context. The Prophet were joking actually with women, was trying to bring smile in their face. He said it in the day of Eid, and he was like like saying like kind of joke. Yes, he never said we say lie, the Prophet, even when he joking, but he chose the word like to bring happiness, and the women, when they listened to that, they never felt offended. They were like happy with the statement of the Prophet. Especially he explained it himself. He explained the statement. When you want to take an idea about any person, what he's thinking, do not quote one of his words and take it out of the context and say, oh, that person humiliating women. No. Look at what he's saying throughout his life about women and how he's honoring them. And he advised men to honor them. Istawsu bin nisa'i khayra. This Prophet the one he said about women, if you collect, you'll find a huge volume about the nice word and advice that he's advising men to take care of women. So he will never change his standard. So do not take it out of the context and start, accusing the Prophet ﷺ for what he's saying. So that's first of all. Second, as I said, you have to look at the context. He was like, playing with the words. And we do that. We play with the word, sometimes, when we say a statement. So when he explained it, and when he explained it, he said, you know what? Oh, this makes sense. So what's نقصان عقلها? نقصان عقلها, she could have flattered the strong man and make him like a baby, yes? With her, like, emotion, with her, all her, like, ability. So she can do that. And about the naqsuddin, she had her menses. So she's not going to pray that all prayers, as the man will do, But that's a permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was given to her, So it's not going to reduce from her iman or her status. No. All men and women are equal in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As mentioned in many ahadith, لا فرق لذكر ولا أنثى. It's not because of a man or a woman there will be a man has a superiority over a woman. No, the best one among you are based on their taqwa, based on in piety. إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. Another point I would say, how it's possible that a Muslim man can marry a Christian or Jewish lady, and a woman she cannot. Is Islam it's just and they should be equal? Why is not? Let me answer this in a simple word, but first I will go back a little bit. First of all, Islam prohibited men and women to marry from any other faith. That was clear. Ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah. Yes? What's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said? وَلَا تَنْكِحُوا الْمُشْرِكَاتِ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنْ وَلَا أَمَةٌ مُؤْمِنَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن مُشْرِكَةٍ وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ ولا تنكحوا المشركين حتى يؤمنوا ولا عبد مؤمن خير من مشرك ولو أعجبكم. So at the first place, you should not marry from any person out of faith. That's man and woman. It's not allowed. That's the first ayah. And then the exception came in Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse number 5. Allah said, وطعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب حل لكم وطعامكم حل لهم والمحصنات من المؤمنات والمحصنات من الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم إذا آتيتموهن أجورهن محصنين غير مسافحين ولا متخذي أخدان. So that was an exception from the main rule. So here the question, why men were exempted, not women? Okay. Marriage is a religious contract. In Islam, it's not a civil contract. It has to obey, the religious rules. And that contract, the aqidah has to be maintained. And the person should not have any kind of abuse that affecting his aqidah, or his aqidah being accused, and he cannot do anything to prevent that. Generally speaking, I'm not talking about special cases. Generally speaking, the man dominates the house, because maybe his physical ability, his financial support, other things, we know that. This is a fact we should not deny. And imagine a man, if he dominates the house and he's abusive. This is a big problem. And the worst abuse, to abuse the person on his religion. You get the point? So to prevent that happen when a man is not, you know, a Muslim, he might, abuse the religion of the mother of the lady, the religion of his wife, without her having the ability to defend, and she will live in that situation. Why is that not going to happen in the opposite? Because in the opposite of a Muslim man, he will never curse Isa. He will never curse Musa. He loves Musa and Isa, and he has to love them if he's a Muslim. But there is no guarantee if he's not a Muslim that he will never curse Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You get the point? Yes. So in this situation, the first situation, there's no any chance for the abuse from that sense. But for the other situation, the opposite side, there is a chance in there because the man, the one who's dominated the house, and the one he might, abuse, he could abuse, and the woman will be under that situation, and we cannot let that happen at the first place. That's why she's not allowed to marry from a person that might put her in that situation. And it's happened actually. It's happened. Which unfortunately, in many cases, that he pretended that he's a Muslim, and then, happened that he accused the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I witnessed, a couple of cases like that. Does that make sense? Now, another point. Are you fine, or did it take long time for you? You're fine? Continue other few points? You still have time? Okay. About ta'addud al-zawjat. How come, a man allowed to have multiple wives? Yes? And women, no, she should not allow. First of all, there's no religion that limited the number of wives except Islam. Yes, no religion. No text from any scripture that limited the number of wives except Islam. It's Islam not the one initiated. Islam actually the one is limited the number. And all of that is open, and there's no even cap for that. So the only religion that's made a clear text that's limited the number of wives, up to 4 max, this is Islam. And it's not like something with no conditions. No. Even the first marriage, you have to have justice, let alone the second marriage. You have to have justice, and you have to be careful about that. So it's not just open permission. It's very strict rules in order to fulfill that. And that's why not too many of them, they are taking that permission. How many one in your circle that you know that he married more than one? How many one? Think of it at this time. It's not much. And some of them maybe in specific areas in Islamic world, not in everywhere. So it's not even that common as a percentage. How many of them, they are even using that permission? 5% of Muslims? Not even, And as I'm just saying, people think, it's something huge. Who said that? No. It's not even that huge percentage, and always, in most of the cases, is that's a procedure or an option or a permission that was taken, and by considering that, it was better for the society, better for the individual, in that sense, most of the time. And I'm not here to be apologetic, why is it and that? No, but I'm just saying it came as a solution for many cases. But looking at the relations here in the West, outside the marriage, can you give me a percentage? Can you tell me how many of the new babies in France that didn't know their fathers? 50%. Can you imagine? And search it. This is a big problem. There are 2 types of ta'addud, like having like second wife. When you have a responsible relation, is different from any relation that's not responsible, and they don't know about the outcome of it. So Islam actually found the balance between all of that and give you a solution. Doesn't cause damages in the society like nowadays living situation. But this is not my point. Here, when talking about the women, we're not allowed to have more than one man. Most of the time, the man, it doesn't mean when he involved in other relation, he will hate his wife or his first wife. No, it doesn't mean like that. The woman, even if she has just a boyfriend, to move to another boyfriend, that means she give up from the first one. She got kind of a hate. So it's not that easy even for her to manage the love in the multiple ones in the same time and giving them the same attention. So that's from her nature. It's not like something different. Second, we in Islam, we consider the right of every individual. And the right of a newborn child, it's more important than, just having the second, marriage. Because that child, as a human, need to know who is his father. When a woman involved in multiple relations, that's almost impossible. Somebody would say DNA, it's not always accurate and always there's some issues. This is not the situation. It's kind of a humiliation for that man. So there are many things are involved related to the nature of the woman, related to the right of the child that might come from that relation, and related to the structure of the family. So it's not like something that's as a given preference for the man over the woman. It's a long topic, and I don't want actually to go further and further. There are many things about hijab, about how in Quran addressing men more often than women, and many other shubuhat. But all of that, I think it's easy even to answer. And generally speaking, when situation looks as there is unbalance or unequal, or there's no equal rights, it seems like that. That's not because as people think. Those rules was made for the protection for the family and protection for the women. It's not restriction for her where the man has no restriction and she has. No. Islam wants to treat women with full respect and giving her the protection that she needs. So for example, where a woman, she's not allowed to travel by herself, without a mahram. It's a protection of looking at the first place. It's not a restriction with no point. And actually, the scholars have said, if there is a rifqa amina and that necessity trip would be fine. So there is some regulation that tells you it's not the point that to make extra rules on her. No, to make extra protection for her, and that's different, from what people think. One time, I will end with this. There's a lady who was stretching her hand, and I asked my wife to go and shake her hand, and she felt offended, like, why not I shook her hand? So I told her at that time, the Queen Elizabeth, alive, and told her, okay, the Queen Elizabeth. She said yes, and she said, who is allowed to shake her hand? And she mentioned different types of people. I said, yes, there are 7 types of people that's only allowed to shake her hand. And Islam, we have only 7 types of men that allowed to shake the hand of any woman. which means you have one queen, but for us, every woman is queen for us. We treated all our women like queen. Is that matter of respect? Because I asked her, why all of that regulations? Why only those people allowed to shake her hand? They said, it's a matter of respect. I said, it's the same. It's a matter of respect, not the opposite. We have to have an open discussion, but in the same time, we have to understand their point from where they come. We should not jump. Many people, they are innocent. They are simple people. They're looking for a simple answer. We don't want to go in debate. Please avoid debates. Like if somebody is just arguing, and how do you know he's arguing? Jumping from one point to the other with no conclusion. It's not there to understand. He's just for argue. Do not waste your time with that. The person want to understand, there are simple answers. And we just touch base on some of those answers. May Allah guide us all. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا وبلغنا في دار مطلوبنا. I forget to ask you if you have any questions, like, related. It's fine? Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.